Good morning, y'all. It's Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle. I haven't done much of a fishing report here for the last couple of weeks because it's been so hit and miss. And this weather, one day we got a cold front, next day we got a warm front. This week I did get pretty well all over Truman. I did not get on the upper Osage. That was the only area I didn't really get to. Kind of, the lake's in different stages right now. As far as crappie and catfish, that upper end sparrowfoot, a lot of the catfish up there I seen was up out of the channel this week. I heard last week they was in the channel. All the ones I caught up there was right up against trees. I mean, I had to put the bait right on a tree to catch a fish. I ran down past the deep water flat, down track, kind of back towards Otter Creek, up in there. That's kind of where I did the best. It seemed like there was fish scattered absolutely all over. A lot of fish around the rock quarry. And I seen crappie scattered all over too. I didn't see any big schools of crappie anywhere up there. Kind of seemed like they was all scattered out in the channel, off the channel ledges. I did talk to several guys that was crappie fishing up there. They said it was kind of real hit and miss. Said that he was catching some fish, but not any of the big crappie really. Didn't talk to anybody that was down around Bucksaw. I didn't fish that area either. I kind of glanced at the lower Grand a little bit. Big Tebow, little Tebow. I seen crappie on the trees along the bluffs. No great big schools yet. The bigger schools I did see was just kind of roaming off the bluffs. I seen some white bass roaming off the bluffs. When I put in at Shawnee Bend yesterday, there was shad all over the banks. There were still white bass on the banks. I seen some white bass popping, just a few. Seen a few, I think, might have been hybrids kind of boiled right along the banks and then back into some of the pockets. So that bite might still be on down towards the dam, Shawnee Bend, lower Tebow, lower Osage. You might still be able to catch them white bass on the banks pretty good. I seen some white bass last week that was on the bottom in like 25, 30 foot of water. That was kind of mid-lake, kind of odd. I looked like there was probably some crappie down there too, but there was for sure some schools of white bass or small hybrids. Pretty well all the catfish I caught on the main lake was 25 to 45 foot of water. There's schools of shad that are 20 foot thick in places. You can fish them. You can't tell what's there for fish. A lot of little catfish this year on the main lake. It's hard to catch a mess of good big eaters. Every day I got 6 or 8 decent fish and a whole bunch of numbers, but not the 5-6 pound fish you want. Sparrowfoot, it's had the bigger eaters up there as far as catfish. I did not catch the numbers of fish up there. I had a few slots. I think I had one, might have been an over. We turned loose. We didn't even measure it. It was probably right at 34 inches. Same way on the main lake yesterday. I had one that was right there, probably 34 and a half inches maybe. We turned it loose. Didn't even measure it. We had already had limits of fish, so I was just catching and turning them loose. As far as crappie, everybody I've talked to has mainly just been jig fishing. I know we got guys coming in the shop and buying minnows. They said they're still catching crappie, but they're pretty spotty. Everybody I talked to, even on the main lake yesterday, said they'll catch a few fish here and a few fish there. I've seen a lot of crappie hugging really tight to the timber yesterday. Just a few on each tree. When I was graphing for catfish, pretty well all the trees off the bluffs had a few fish on them already. Like I said, them bigger schools of crappie I seen, they was just kind of out roaming. I didn't have my live scope on. I don't know what was up shallow. All the bait pretty well off the bluffs was deep. It was all 25 plus foot deep. Kind of the only crappie I could see in that real thick bait was kind of right on top of them. I'm sure there was a lot of crappie down in them shad too. I just couldn't see them. There was too many shad. So that's kind of what I've got for fishing report. I haven't heard anything at all on largemouth. Haven't heard anything at all on walleye. I heard one guy caught one while he was crappie fishing. I think he was fishing a brush pile, so that was just an accident. That's really all I've got for you guys. It's still pretty inconsistent with 55-degree water temperature. We're not in a winter pattern yet. I know the long-range forecasts are showing the first part of December getting really cold. That will help. That will help school them fish up a little bit better. There's so much shad in the lake too. It's probably helping keep them fish scattered out. I'm already seeing some schools of shad that are, hundreds of yards long out deep. Just millions of them. So, and them catfish are right in there with them giant schools. A lot of them are out where you can't hardly rod and reel fish them. You almost got to jug fish some of them because you can't get your boat tied up to get on them. But that drift bite's pretty well over. Lake of the Ozarks, I haven't heard anything on crappie down there. I have seen a lot of crappie down there already in some of the creeks. I'm seeing some little schools of crappie. I did graph a couple brush piles in the creeks just looking last week. I did see a lot of crappie on some of them brush piles in the creeks down there. So kind of 15, 20 foot of water area. Some of them deeper creeks down there. I'm sure the shallower creeks are going to be shallower. Just kind of depends on where you're at on that. Most of the catfish I seen down there was hugging close to the ledges or on the edge of a flat. They wasn't really up on the flats. If you get some of them areas you can fish them ledges, stick your mud poles or power poles or whatever. That would be what I'd do on Lake of the Ozarks right now. Fresh cut shad. I've had a few people saying they can't find shad. You guys, there's shad absolutely everywhere I've been. Lake of the Ozarks, I caught shad while we was drift fishing in the channel 2 weeks ago. I caught shad up shallow, 3-4 foot of water in the coves. Caught shad out in the mouth of the coves in 14-15 foot of water. You just got to graph. Use that side scan if you have it. If you ain't got live scope, if you got side scan, you can see the same exact thing. Everybody always, I ain't got live scope, I can't see them. You guys, any fish finder with side scan will show you the same thing, just them fish ain't in motion. I've got the hummingbird version of live scope on my graph. I don't hardly ever use it. I didn't use it yesterday to catch bait, never even hooked it up. And I caught bait yesterday in 45 foot of water, and I caught bait in 2 foot of water, or foot of water. I caught bait 2 different times yesterday, so kind of been that way all week. A few days I hooked it up and turned it on just because where I was at, the shad was a little bit spottier, but there's shad everywhere if you graph. Them shallow shad you're not gonna ever graph on your down scan. Them deep shad you'll graph on down scan, but you got to really watch along the banks and stuff for them shallow ones if you don't have side scan. Yesterday morning, Shawnee Bend, they was flipping absolutely all over the place with no wind. You could see them everywhere. So that's about all I've got for you guys. I can't think of anything else. It's a Friday before rifle season. I hope everybody gets out there this weekend, has a good time hunting. Hopefully you get some more kids out in the woods. I know I got to see a ton of good youth pictures, a lot of deer killed during youth season. Have a good one, y'all, and be safe this weekend. I appreciate it. Thank you.